Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me for this teleseminar called Sales Beyond Belief. This is going to be a chance to use the amazing process called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT, on issues pertaining to sales. There's a lot of ways to use EFT. There's an ever-growing number of people around the world who are finding this very simple process to be amazing in getting relief from all kinds of negative emotions, a lot of physical discomfort, and really using it as a tool to make big changes in their lives. And I've worked with a lot of people on a lot of different issues, and one of the issues that has come up with a lot of different clients is people who are in sales, and so they have a lot of concerns and things that block them from being more successful in their sales careers. So I finally decided, okay, well, let's do a teleseminar, and then I created a website as well, directly focused on working on those issues, particularly around sales. Now, to some extent, I believe that everything comes back to the same thing. As long as we're clear inside, we develop our greater self-esteem, our greater confidence, a greater connection to source, whatever source is for you, releasing fears, then everything in our life starts working better. Our finances, our health, our relationships, and our overall happiness. But there are definitely some very specific issues around sales, and so I wanted to have a chance to do this. And for those of you who don't know me other than through the registration process, my name is Brad Yates. I am a personal performance coach and EFT practitioner. It's always hard to define exactly what I do, but what I do is help people get over what's holding them back, and the main tool I use is EFT. So what I'm going to do to begin with is take you through the process of Emotional Freedom Technique, for those of you who have not been through it before. And EFT, for your information, was developed a little over 20 years ago. First started with a thing called thought field therapy by Roger Callahan, who was working with a woman with a lifelong phobia of water. And in an attempt to relieve the stomach cramps that came up with her fear, he had learned a little bit about acupressure, based on acupuncture, which has been around for thousands of years in Asian medicine. And he was tapping under her eye, which is where a key meridian point is. The meridians are pathways of energy up and down the body, and they go up and down both sides. And in ancient Chinese medicine, they learned that when this energy flow was out of balance, you had illness, and when it was rebalanced by sticking needles into different points or by applying pressure, the energy flow was balanced again, and the person experienced a return to wellness. So Roger Callahan was working with this woman on trying to restore her sense of wellness in her stomach, and by tapping under her eye a few points, she suddenly said, "It's gone." He said, well, what's gone? And she goes, "The fear," and starts running towards the swimming pool. Now he started panicking and saying, "Wait, stop." She goes, no, it's okay. I know that I don't know how to swim. I'm not going to jump in." But she gets down and starts splashing water on her face and has never had a recurrence of this fear. And Dr. Callahan thought, wow, that's kind of interesting, and started applying this to different clients. And he found that with different clients, he needed to tap different meridian points, and he came up with all these different algorithms, different processes of tapping different points for different issues. And within a year put himself out of business, because all of his clients who had been coming to him on a weekly basis were now feeling cured. So he started teaching this process, and one of his first students was a man named Gary Craig, who was trained as an engineer at Stanford University. And using his engineering thinking, he looked at all these different complicated algorithms and said, well, what if we just tap all of the points from top to bottom without going in different directions? And he found that he got the exact same results. So he renamed the process, this simplified one-stop process, Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT. And as I said, a very large growing number of people are learning to use this every day now. So the process is based on the idea that negative emotions, just like those physical ailments, are caused by disruption in the body's energy system. So by tapping on key meridian points, these are different points around the face and the body, by tapping on these key points, we balance the energy system out so that whatever negative emotion was going on is then cleared and released from our body. It's not a matter of covering up things. It's not a matter of repressing anger or sadness or those emotions and trying to pretend that we're feeling good or feeling happy. It's a matter of actually releasing them from our body, so that even if we're having an uncomfortable memory about something that happened in the past, by tapping on the meridian system and balancing our energy in relation to that memory, we still have the memory, but it no longer has the emotional charge, because it's that emotional charge that directs our life. You know, we stay in our comfort zone. We look at things, particularly, say, in sales. If you had an uncomfortable incident as a younger person, say you wanted to ask somebody out on a date, and you had this fear of rejection, and in fact they did reject you when you called them up, then you might have this fear of rejection hooked to the phone, so that every time you go to make a cold call, your heart starts pounding, and that phone suddenly looks like it weighs 500 pounds. Well, that's not going to be a very effective way of being if you're going to make a career out of sales. So what we do is we go back to that original incident, and we tap on the meridian system and clear that, so that it's like, yeah, well, that person didn't want to go out with me, no big deal. But there's someone else out there that I'm going to reach by phone, and it's going to be a great connection. So here's how the process works, the nuts and bolts of it. Hello? The first point we're going to tap is on the side of the hands, the karate chop point. So if you were to imagine that you were going to hit somebody with a karate chop, the knife edge of the hand between the wrist and the pinky, and right there in the middle of that. So whatever your dominant hand is, say you're right-handed, you would most likely use the two fingers, the index and middle finger of your right hand, and tap on the knife edge or karate chop point of your left hand. Now the meridians run up and down both sides of the body, so you can tap with either hand, and you can tap on either side of the body. The next point we're going to tap is what's called the eyebrow point, and I know that on my website you'll see it going from crown point down to the underarm point. When I'm actually working with folks, I prefer to start with the eyebrow point and then end on the crown point. I apologize if that's confusing. It's just different beginning points on the same circle. So tapping on the eyebrow point, and this is right at the beginning of the eyebrow, closest to the nose. And we'll tap each point between 5 and 10 times. And eventually when we're doing the process, I'll be saying words and you'll be repeating them back to me. And so you'll just tap until the end of the phrase, and when I tell you to move on to the next point. So the next point that we'll tap is on the side of the eye, and that's right there in the corner of the eye socket, on the outside edge of the eye. The next point is under the eye. It's right below the middle of the eye, up on the, again on the edge of the eye socket, on the top of the cheek. The next point is under the nose, right between the bottom of the nose and the upper lip. The next point is the chin point, which is right between the chin and your lower lip, right there in that little crease on the top of the chin. The next point is the collarbone point. Now, if you feel your collarbones, where they come together, there's a little bit of a U shape right in there, a little dip. The easiest way to tap this point is to take a fist and tap over that area so that you're tapping on both ends of your collarbones, the ends of both collarbones. The next point we'll tap is under the arm, and this is about 4 inches down from the armpit. It's right about bra strap level for you gentlemen. And then the last point is the top of the head, and I like to use all 5 fingers, or all 4 fingers plus thumb, right up on around the crown of the head, right about if you were wearing a beanie cap or a yarmulke. That's just tapping around, and I'll move my hand around in a circle to cover a larger area there. Any questions so far? Everyone still there? Yeah. Okay, good. So, the basic EFT, as you'll see on my website, which is again at www.bradyates.net, is to tap the side of the hand and say, even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely accept myself. And you would repeat that 3 times. And then on each point, you would tap while you repeated the phrase, this problem, whatever it might be. Say, fear of rejection. easiest way to do this is to say if you're about to make a phone call, a sales call, and you're afraid that the person's going to reject you, you might ask yourself, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how afraid am I that I'll be rejected? And just notice what discomfort comes up in your body. And then when you start the tapping, after you have your number, you would tap on the side of the hand saying, even though I have this, oh, you know what, let's just make this hands-on. So just follow along with me. So tapping on the side of the hand, and repeat the words I say. Even though I have this fear of rejection, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have this fear of rejection,